Is Woody actually Andy's dad reincarnated? Let's look at the proof. Okay, so I know that this theory may sound kind of crazy, but hear me out. First, let me introduce you to the Pixar theory. Created by John Negroni, this theory states that all of the Pixar movies that we know and love actually exist in the same universe. The timeline begins with the movie Brave and ends with Monsters, Inc. If you want to see the entire Pixar theory explained, you can check out Super Carlin Brothers' video here. Now, I'm going to be focusing on the most important part of the entire theory and explain how it connects to my own theory that Woody is actually Andy's dad reincarnated. So basically, as the timeline of the Pixar theory continues on, artificial intelligence, aka by and large the company that we see in WALL-E, begins to take over the world. Humans are slowly starting to die out, whereas animals like the bugs in Bugs Life, Remy and Ratatouille, and non-living things like cars from Cars and toys are becoming more and more intelligent as time goes on. Now, let's focus on those non-living things and kind of dive into why they're suddenly coming to life. Have you ever wondered how the cars in Cars and the toys in Toy Story are alive? So the Pixar theory claims that humans are used as an energy source, such as using their screams and their laughter to power Monstropolis in Monsters, Inc. Similarly, the love of a human brings their toys to life, as we saw in Toy Story 4 when Bonnie creates Forky and suddenly he comes to life. But what if love isn't the only thing bringing these inanimate objects to life? What if the souls of the previous owners of these belongings are being reincarnated into these objects? Now, I think that this could be true for both the toys in Toy Story and the cars in the Cars films, but for the sake of this video, I'm only going to be focusing on Toy Story. Now, we know that Andy's dad wasn't present in any of the Toy Story films. Apparently, there was a whole storyline that explained his lack of presence. And that is that Andy's dad, Andy Sr., died before the films began. In this concept storyline, Woody was previously owned by Andy Sr., and right before he passed away, he gave Andy Woody. This storyline was created by Joe Rampt, who at the time was head of story development over at Pixar. Now, unfortunately, Joe did pass away in 2006, but before he passed, he was able to share this story with his friend Mike Mozart. In this story, we learned that Andy Sr. was a sickly child who was suffering from polio. But the one thing that managed to keep his spirits up and bring him some joy and happiness was watching Woody's Roundup. The creators of Woody's Roundup, Cowboy Crunchy cereal, hosted a promotion in which if you sent in 30 of their cereal box tops, then you would receive a Sheriff Woody doll. Unfortunately, Andy Sr.'s family was poor and they couldn't afford 30 cereals from Cowboy Crunchies. He did manage to get 7 box tops. Nevertheless, he was determined to get his Sheriff Woody doll, so he wrote a letter explaining why he loved Sheriff Woody so much and how much Sheriff Woody meant to him, and he sent that letter with the 7 box tops that he'd had and hoped for the best. But something happened that completely halted the entire promotion. Space. Once the astronauts went up on Sputnik, children only wanted to play with space toys. Woody's Roundup was no longer popular, and Cowboy Crunchies decided that there was no point in continuing the promotion. With that, they also decided it was useless to continue any further production on merchandise. Here's the thing. No other Woody dolls at this point had been created. There was only the one Woody prototype, and that's the Woody that we all know and love. This promotion was the only way one could receive a Sheriff Woody doll. The Woody that we know is the only one of his kind, and that's why he's so rare. The woman that was in charge of sifting through all the Cowboy Crunchies mail, letters, fan mail, what have you, happened to come across Andy's letter, and it touched her so much that she decided that the only Sheriff Woody doll in existence should go to him. And that's how Andy Sr. received Sheriff Woody. Unfortunately, he was unable to play with his new toy as his sickness worsened and he had to go seek out treatment. Andy's possessions were meant to be burned as to not further spread the disease, but he managed to save Sheriff Woody and hide him in a safe place. Now, flash forward years later, and Andy Sr. is now an adult. He's married, he has his son Andy, and he's expecting his second child on the way, which we know is going to be Molly. Andy Sr. never got the chance to play with his Sheriff Woody doll, and thus he was never able to give Woody life. So the story comes to a tragic end as Andy Sr. ends up having a polio relapse, also known as post-polio syndrome. With his condition only worsening, he and his family move back to his childhood home where he can live out the rest of his days. When he moves back home, he remembers his childhood doll that he never had the chance to play with. Andy Sr. tells his son that when he passes, upstairs there is a treasure chest in the attic, and he hands Andy the key and he says, "Go open it." Eventually, Andy Sr. does pass, and Andy, recalling what his father told him, goes upstairs into the attic and opens the treasure chest. In that chest, he finds Sheriff Woody. Heartbroken that his father is gone, Andy hugs his new toy tightly to his chest, remembering all the wonderful memories that he and his father shared. This is the moment that Woody breathes his first breath of life. He will always be there for Andy. It is the love for Andy's father that brought Woody to life. Normally, it's the love of a child that brings their toy to life, but the fact that Andy felt such strong emotions and recalled memories of his father the first time that he held Woody, that's what brought him to life. That is what caused his father's soul to reincarnate into Sheriff Woody. Why else would Woody feel such a strong connection and such a strong devotion and sense of loyalty to Andy even years after he's all grown up? In Toy Story 3, it seems like most of the toys don't really have a problem being sent to the daycare center. They once loved Andy too, but they don't seem very distraught on leaving him to start new lives. Woody is the only one that's very determined to get back to Andy. And in Toy Story 4, Woody is the only toy that's having the most trouble adapting to a new life with Bonnie. He seems to stay with her out of a sense of loyalty, but we learned that his heart still yearns for Andy, and he will always see himself as Andy's toy. Throughout the first 3 films, Woody always fought to get back to Andy when they were separated. Yet, at the end of Toy Story 4, instead of fighting to get himself back to Bonnie, he chooses a life without her. The only kid that he'll ever truly belong to is Andy. And if he can't be with Andy, then he can't be anybody's toy. So using the Pixar theory and the concept storyline created by Joan Raft, I feel like I have a pretty interesting argument for my theory of why I believe that Woody is actually Andy's dad reincarnated. Now, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you have anything else you'd like to add to this theory? As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're interested in more theory videos from me. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!